Hello everyone, and good morning, almost afternoon, whoops, from Bali. I'm Kabira, and I think this is actually my first Bali video that I am making you this time around, 2020. So I'm in the middle of running this eating disorder intensive, and a really great question came up. So my friend who asked me this question, this video is for you, and it's for everyone else who can relate. The question was around clothes. The importance of clothes, really. I remember when I was 17 and I was really stuck in my anorexia, and my best friend at the time kind of cornered me in the library. And when you're 17, you do your best. I was probably the first anorexic friend that was so close to her, struggling. And so she told me how bad my hair looked and how I didn't take care of myself the same way anymore. And I was wearing the same old clothes, and I just wasn't showering. And she knew me, I always have good hair. I love showering and I love clothes. So she was kind of calling a little bit of an alert on me. And of course, at that time, I didn't listen to her, and I was like, fuck you, go away. But what I realized when I started to heal the first time around, about 2 years later, one of the first things I did was get my hair cut. And I went to a salon and got, to this day, the best head massage of my life. I don't know where that guy is, but if I could have another one of those, please. And it was like we were cutting away just all the old memories and all the dead hair, especially when we're starving or malnourishing ourselves, our hair isn't the same. And, I remember going shopping and buying new clothes. And for me, fashion has always been something that I love. I mean, those of you who know me, know that probably I will be a designer at some point. I've designed some stuff. There's a pleasure I have, and I've never been into big labels. I've just always been into textures and how things feel, and things being really comfortable, and the pleasure of costuming, and more about expression as opposed to pretending to be someone other than you are. So, over the years, as I'm working with women with eating disorders, one of the big things, or also just people who don't want to be seen, one of the big things is all right, let's start to branch out and wear different colors, and start to pay attention to, do you actually like what you're wearing, or are you just kind of arbitrarily putting something on? Clothes contain energy, and I'm a big fan of, I always am wearing clean clothes, and I'm not saying this in an obsessive compulsive way. And here in Bali, you sweat a lot, so you don't really get away with re-wearing anything, because there's just going to be a stink. But knowing that, especially if you've had some sort of process or release in your clothes, it's kind of good to clear that energy. And I tend to not try to hold on to too much, and I do love to give my clothes away. And one of my rules of thumb is if I look at clothes and there's a memory there of oh yeah, that's when that trauma or that breakup, or just noticing what feeling do these clothes represent. I guess it kind of goes with the the idea of does it actually bring you joy, and having the guts to be yeah, this doesn't serve me, or am I wearing something and I'm trying to fit in? That to me is one of the dangers of fashion, is you got to know that different places have their cuts, and not everyone's body fits into these cuts. One of the pleasures I've had as a yoga teacher is, I've studied tens of thousands of bodies, and no one has the same body. And, that's kind of why I like to sometimes get clothes and then tweak them so it actually works for my body. You'll notice if you pay for super high-end clothes, they're designed to work for your body. And all of us, especially those women, we've been have been indoctrinated, you need to go fit into this. This is the kind of size you need. Fuck that. The size you are is the size you are. And, it's time to stop taking out our pain on our bodies. There's nothing wrong with your body. So I like to look at clothes as something that just kind of like nourishes, celebrates my body. Like this right here, I don't usually wear black. I'm definitely a color person, but the texture feels so good. So that's one rule of thumb, is like never buy something that doesn't feel good. And there's a lot of great like bamboo fabrics, like stuff that's a little bit softer, as opposed to the synthetics. Also things like, if you're a woman, a lot of my women students are like, I have a struggle. I want to look more feminine, but I don't want to have to dress up. And it's like, yeah, so get those comfy clothes that have like a feminine cut, but you don't feel like you have to dress up for it. Earrings are also a nice accessory. And for some of my students where, if you're kind of like stuck, you're like, I don't actually know what my style is. That's where you get to play. Like when I was in Australia, I felt like I was in a very masculine town, and one day I was like, I just need a pretty dress. I just want like a long, flowing, pretty dress that, like it's not. I don't want to look sexy. I just want to look pretty. And that was my mission. I ended up getting two, over a course of 2 months, two gorgeous dresses that I would kind of wear, and it was like, yep, tonight's the night for this dress. And there's a pleasure in it of dressing up. So here's some shopping tips. I can't believe I'm telling you this, but I'm going to tell you this. Number one, do not go shopping with someone who hates shopping. Okay, like. Really, just don't, okay? And it is fun. I'll admit I love when I go shopping with friends who have the same enthusiasm, but if they're not into it, like, they're gonna be a buzzkill. Now, I have a little bit of an OCD side where I just need to see everything because I'm so curious, which isn't good when I wanna be efficient. I have had success with 3 different men taking me shopping over the years. Where they somehow knew the cuts and style that worked for me and were able to like focus and beeline, so sometimes don't be surprised. Men can be good shoppers. These 3 guys shocked me, okay? Really knew, they were so good at being like, yep, those cuts aren't going to be good. Helping me find swimsuits, because we all know how like not fun swimsuit shopping is, right? So be open to, and these men, because I know in your head you're like, oh, maybe they weren't straight. No, these guys were straight. And I'm not putting gender specific, I love everybody. Let's love everybody. But, it's just like you don't know who's going to be a good shopper, okay? So just be open to that. Also, what I've learned is the vibe of the store matters. I pay attention to who I'm giving money to. A lot of the stuff I buy are small designers. Like I actually know the woman that made this. I know the guy that made this. I try to actually give my money not to like the large corporations, not to like the sweatshops, but to the people where it's like, yep, I actually can track, either you made that whole thing yourself, or I can even see the team that you're working with, and there's some, it's ethical. So to me, just like the history of our food matters, the history of where our clothing comes from matters. And I do want to slide in, like I'm not promoting go crazy with clothes because I know that there's an environmental issue with that. But for my friends where you're just like wearing old, raggedy, smelly, not pretty clothes, like you got to take care of yourself. Self-care, self-respect, knowing that you're allowed to look good and feel good, being seen, that's one of the biggest initiations when we heal out of an eating disorder. Or if you're just very sensitive and you don't like to be seen. If you tend to put like everyone else's needs first, like, damn it, you matter, okay? It's time to matter. So, either I'll go like specifically to designers. I've had the pleasure that I this is just something I do, okay? Like even as a kid, like my, dress up costumes, fabrics has just been my pleasure, okay? Like you may not be like that, but just know that you're gonna get cooler pieces that are well made and maybe ethically sourced, if you're going to some smaller designers. And the other thing is like, if I'm just shopping, like if I'm showing up in a city, the vibe of the store matters. So if I walk in and, the vibe doesn't feel right, I leave. If the music doesn't feel right, if it's too loud, like I leave. If the person who's like the shopkeeper person, if there's a weird vibe there, I go, okay? I remember I had one psychic tell me who knows if it's true, but I tend to pick up a lot of information when I walk into places. So sometimes, you can almost sense like the history of the place. Vibe matters. Because to me, every piece that I wear, I can almost tell you a story about it, of like how I befriended the person, that was helping me, like that was at the store helping me, or I befriended the designer. And there was a really joyful experience. So to me, it's an experience. It's not like a run in, grab something and go. It's an experience of why I'm adorning myself a certain way. And so, vibe matters. And then if you're alone, if you feel good in the shop, and especially if you're feeling a little, I'm so shy. I'm not that person that's going to like put my clothes on and strut around. I will do that if there's only one other person in the store and I feel comfortable with them, or two, okay? That's when you can start, especially if you're like, I'm not sure if something looks good on me. That's when you can start to ask people, what do you think? Like I remember I was like on a mission because I was in one of my first winters in Australia this year. And I was like, I need a sweater. And I hate sweaters. I'm not a sweater girl. And I was like, I need a fucking good sweater. And I remember like I got all the girls involved and I was like, this sweater or this sweater? And we had a thing, that you have to enjoy this. If you're someone who's more quick in and out, bring a friend who's gonna help you make some focused decisions so that you don't get stuck in that wormhole. But here's some basic things, even if you're sure that you're like, I don't know. Number one, fabric has to feel good, okay? If it doesn't feel good, don't buy it. Number two, the cut needs to feel good. If you're like, if I'm having a fat day, I'm not allowed to wear it. It's like, fuck that. Wear something you can always wear. Number three, it's okay. Like there are certain dresses where it's like, I'm trying on a little bit of a different persona, but I'm pulling it off. Sometimes that totally works. Like I've got this electric blue jumpsuit that like nails it, right? But sometimes just be okay with the fact that you might have bought some things where you're like, yeah, I want to broaden my edge a little bit. And then you're like, there's no fucking way I'm ever going to wear this. Donate it to your friends, okay? Do not keep something in your closet you're never going to wear or force yourself to wear something you don't love. It's okay. You're allowed to make mistakes. Pass it on. And finally, it's just like, let yourself experiment with colors. I definitely have a rainbow closet because some days I'm like, ooh, we're having a red day or we're having a pink day. Blues and greens, it's like, that always kind of works, right? You got to have like your staple colors. And a lot of us, my complaint with the fashion industry, even though I am wearing black, but I like the cut, is that, it's like, can we please branch out of the grays and the browns and the blacks and the let me hide myself and try to slim myself? It's fucking time to stand out. So, I know that when I used to run yoga trainings, like all my women would show up continually in their black. And then on the days when I'd be filming them, I would say, all right, guys, so here's your mission. You got to wear colors. It's going to show up on screen differently. You're going to feel different. So it is, the whole reason why I'm doing this tirade about clothes is, will you let yourself matter? Will you take care of yourself? And will you let yourself be seen? And, I know a lot of women where, I know for myself, dressing a little bit more boyish was a way I protected myself. It didn't feel safe to be pretty. It didn't feel safe to be seen, like you're a little bit like a sexual prey. And so it took a long time for me to be like, all right, like I'm not going to keep hiding and trying to look tough and boyish. Like I want this feeling. And I'm not knocking, by the way, if you're like, I don't want to look feminine, fine. But make sure that you're not just going into this default with your appearance, and you're actually like, no, I'm taking care of these details. Like I happen to love, taking care of my hair. I love to take care of my nails. My eyebrows, I want them to be as bushy as possible. I'll never pluck them. You get to make these choices, but make sure that your choices aren't, that they are out of self-care, not out of self-neglect. So this is officially the longest video I've ever made about clothes, but it actually does matter. And I noticed there's a huge resistance with my women, and it's even harder if you're a mom, of like, you need to take time to take care of yourself. You need to take time to choose what feels good to you. Because there is kind of in our collective a self-denial, you know, like, oh, mother's cooking and she's the last one to eat. Oh, I can't eat that. That's going to make me fat. Like, it's such an old spell we need to break collectively. So it's like, no, like I need to nurture myself. You know, if we really want to show up on this planet, we need to know that this planet's good to us and that we feel good and that we deserve pleasure. And this does not need to cost a lot, all right? This costs $20, okay? And it fucking feels so good. So, sending you so much love, and yeah, I'll send you some more messages soon. Bye.